Following the events of the second episode, we experience our first dose of filler as SG-1 encounters the inhabitants of Simarkar, whose ancestors were taken by gold from multiple Mongol tribes. Some good moments, not important to the overall plot of Stargate, and honestly I think this episode is really boring. Following these events, SG-1 encounters a disease on P3X-797 and almost accidentally wipes out the entire Stargate command. Yes, there are diseases on other planets as well. Not really important to the overall plot and can be summarized in 3 sentences. Following the disease events, SG-1 attempts a rescue mission to save SG-9 but find themselves in a bind when Captain Samantha Carter's ex-boyfriend, Captain Jonas Hansen, was found to be the new pretender god of the planet, and also he's insane. This episode is never mentioned again. You can safely ignore everything here. So, following 3 completely irrelevant filler episodes in a row, we finally get another episode as SG-1 encounters a graveyard of blue crystals on a desert planet. But before we head into the meat of it, I honestly wanted to skip this episode for the retrospective. I will mention why later. Every crystal seems broken, but O'Neill, when venturing out further on his own, finds a complete one and touches it, knocking him out cold. In his stead stands an exact duplicate of O'Neill who seems a bit confused. Duplicate takes his stuff and joins with SG-1 to return to Earth. Back on Earth, and after a thorough physical from Dr. Fraser, portrayed by Tara Rothery, Hammond sends Jackson and the captain to investigate the broken crystals, while the rest are free to do whatever. The duplicate investigates the Colonel's personal locker and finds pictures of Jack's past life. Sam finds him and is a bit duped by his strange behavior, which is when Daniel tells her about O'Neill's former marriage and that Charlie killed himself with Jack's gun. The Colonel confronts Sarah, acted by Harley Jane Kozak, and wants to know where his son is, which is when things get a little weird to say the least. Meanwhile, Tia conducts valuable research into our beautiful culture. DupliJack is looking through Charlie's old room when Sarah's father tells him some emotional stuff, causing more and more flashbacks within DupliJack, including a few more details about the boy's accidental suicide. By the way, Charlie's actor is Kyle Graham. Back in the SGC, Jackson, Carter, and Tiak shoot the broken crystals with a staff blast and determine that all the crystals were destroyed by good old weapon fire. DupliJack connects with Sarah about Charlie and tells her about the Stargate. Daniel finds out the creepy way that when you're too close to a somewhat functional crystal, it attempts to take on an exact mirror image in order to communicate. This is where the Stargate is activated, and apparently the Stargate command receives a GDO transmission through the Stargate before it is even activated. To everyone's surprise, a royally pissed off colonel steps through and is taken into custody the moment he steps through. O'Neill is getting even more angry, and honestly, if I were Hammond, I would release him at this point as well. I'm telling you, Jack has some psychic mumbo jumbo to be able to send transmissions light years ahead into sealed facilities. Who knows what he could do to you? Sarah and DupliJack talk out the former marriage's issues when he breaks down into overcharge. So Sarah brings him to a hospital. The SGC confirm the Colonel's identity through DNA tests and show him the camera footage. Sam communicates with the broken crystal entity and tells them about the civilization's history. The Goa'uld found the crystals, and one of them was killed when it attempted to replicate it. That began the extinction of the crystal entities, and it also tells them that if it remains on Earth, it will die. As it turns out, their EMP field is not compatible with the EMP field of our planet. When thinking of how to find it, Captain Carter tells O'Neill about DupliJack looking through his personal things, which is when they find out that it was enlisted in a hospital a few hours ago. When leaving the base, DupliJack refuses to give up his staff weapon because of reasons, but has to comply in the end. Back in the hospital, DupliJack is overloading and breaks down, releasing a bit too much power and nuclear particles for my personal taste. SG-1 heads into the building and O'Neill saves Sarah by embracing her. Aww. Carter takes Sarah outside while the rest of the team heads into the realm of DupliJack warns SG-1 to stay away or they'll get hurt, which is when they get hurt. Talk about karma. It's afraid that the Colonel wants to destroy him, but Jack assures him that he just wants to bring him back to his planet. DupliJack tells the team that the first thing it did was to read his mind, and the first thing he saw was that he was a fighter. When the crystal was confronted with all of his memories and emotions, he was also confronted with all the suffering that the Colonel went through during his life. So he wanted to bring Charlie back to make Jack feel better. This is kind of f***ed up. That's when Crystal Jack touches the Colonel's heart and turns into his late son. O'Neill brings Crystal Charlie to Sarah and they make up. We never see Sarah ever again. The Colonel brings the crystal back through the gate, and that was the 6th episode of the first season of Stargate SG-1. I originally wanted to skip this episode because of 2 reasons. The first being that the pacing seems all over the place, and second, crystal lifeforms aren't a thing again until Stargate Atlantis. Not Season 1, not Season 2, they reappear in Season 4. Frankly, I don't even know if I'll ever get to that point due to copyright or general YouTube nonsense. Nonetheless, it's a good episode, but I don't rewatch it too often because I honestly find it to be so cheesy with its sad piano music. So much so that I have to cringe a little. With that in mind, I hope you had an enjoyable time watching, and I'll see you next time with the next episode of Stargate SG-1. Have a good one.